So we go to the effectiveness of regulation, and that means how effective is regulation. So here I go. In order to check the effectiveness of regulation, the following must be considered. So there are things we have to put into consideration to understand the effectiveness of regulation. The first one is improved public welfare. So when I talk about improved public welfare, I wrote, if as a result of regulation, there is safer work environment, non-discrimination in employment, cleaner environment, consumer protection, improved road safety, and gender equality in workplace, then the regulation is effective. So if due to regulation, workplace becomes safer for us, the environment becomes cleaner, there's no inequality at workplace, there's no gender inequality like, oh, because you're a woman or you're a lady, you can't get the job, or because he's a man, he's not getting the job. If these things are no more there, everything is fine, then that means regulation is effective. That's the first point. The second one, company closures. What are company closures? That means companies are shut down. What would have made them to be shut down? I wrote, if due to regulation, companies that abuse regulations, that means companies that are not doing the right thing, are fined, they fine them, that means they have financial penalty, issued notices or shut them down, making only firms that are compliant operate. This will improve public confidence. So if due to non-compliance you are fined, or a firm is fined, or the company is shut down, leaving only businesses that are complying to work, that means people, the public will have confidence in government. So that means regulation is working. That means regulation is effective. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
With regulation, companies that are not compliant, are shut down. It means government is working. It means regulation is effective. But if with regulation, companies are still doing whatever they like, they don't care, that means there's no compliance. That means regulation is not effective. Is it clear? Mm-hmm. The third one, correct market failure, asymmetric information. When we talk about asymmetric information, it means one party has more information than another. So I'm dealing with you, but I lack information that you have. You have the information, but I don't know about the information. We call it asymmetric information, which is a market failure. But with regulation, information becomes balanced. Then that means there's effective regulation. Get the point? Asymmetric information means one party has more information than another. So with regulation, market failure should be corrected. And as soon as market failure is corrected, it means now I have the same information as you have. You have access to the same information that I have access to. That means information is balanced. We can literally say regulation is effective. So these are the effectiveness. These are how we check about the effectiveness of regulation. Is it clear? Mm-hmm. Now we go to the consequences of regulation. So what are the consequences? Maybe negative or positive. But as soon as there's regulation, there's always a price for it. So what are the price we have to pay for regulation? The first one, increased costs to firms. So firms have to pay for it. Consumers have to pay for it. Government also have to pay for it. So we all have to bear the consequence of regulation because it all affects us. So we start with the firms. Increased costs to firms. To comply with regulation, firms might have to adhere to all details in the rules. This is quite expensive, especially for small businesses that do not have sufficient resources. So because you have to comply to government rules and regulation, government paperwork, you have to follow it to details. This is not easy. It's not like you have to do your own things. You have to do it the way government wants it. So this is expensive, especially for smaller firms that do not have the financial capability to employ more workers, to buy latest technology that government wants. Because government wants to, for example, government wants to reduce pollution. So if government wants to reduce pollution due to regulation, you might need to use the latest technology. As a small firm, you might not have the financial capability to do that.
Yes.
So that means your cost of production will increase. That is for firms. Now we go to consumers. Consumer pay. So consumer will pay more because regulation means when regulation is passed, like increasing regulation means they have to pass regulation to businesses. And if these regulations are passed to businesses, it increases their cost. So this higher cost will be passed on to customers. So customers will be the one to pay those higher costs by paying firms will charge them higher prices. So higher costs for firms will be passed on to customers. So customers will be paying higher prices. So that is the consequence of regulation to customers. Is it clear? And the last one, to government itself. We call it government administration cost. Governments have passed regulations. Government have to check. Government have to monitor that firms are doing the right thing. Yes or no? To monitor these things, government have to put in place policies. Maybe they need to even employ more workers to check if firms are doing the right thing or not. So these things are expensive for governments too. So it increases their day-to-day running of the business of government budgets. So these are consequences of regulation. It increases the cost for firms. It makes consumers to pay higher prices. It increases government spending. Do you get it? So these are the consequences of regulation. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Thank you.